Even as the Chief Justice declared a day-to-day hearing on the same-sex marriage pleas, there has been a sharp pushback to it from various groups in a strongly worded resolution passed in a joint meeting with all state bar councils. The Bar Council of India said that the Supreme Court should leave same-sex marriage to the legislature, emphasizing that more than 99.9% of people of the country are opposed to the idea of same-sex marriage. The resolution also said that it would be catastrophic to overhaul something as fundamental as the concept of marriage by a court of law and would destabilize the social structure of the country. Another lawyers' body, All District Court Bar Association of Delhi, today also echoed similar apprehensions in their resolution. They said that legalization of same-sex marriage can only be determined by the legislature after consulting all stakeholders. The Vishwa Hindu Parishad also put out a statement saying that why is there a hurry for the Supreme Court in deciding the issue when there are far bigger issues in the country. The idea of marriage, they said, is a sacrosanct union between two heterosexuals. Now, these objections to the Supreme Court ruling on same-sex marriage at this stage are as following. One, that there should be no tearing hurry to decide this issue. Second, that this should be decided by Parliament, not the court. Third, that this demand would prove harmful to future generations by virtue of striking at the very core of India's social and cultural values and shaking the foundation of the idea of marriage. But do any of these objections really hold any water?
You're watching the News Hour at 10, debate number 2 on Times Now, Super Prime Time.
So it ultimately boils down to a very simple question of whether it is an elite concept or it is simply a case of asking for similarity when it comes to being granted your rights. What is it really? Uday Raj, petitioner, joining us along with actor Paras Tomar, Namit Saxena, lawyer for the petitioner, with us in the studio, LGBTQ activist Sonal Gayani with me here, and Anish Gawande, also an activist, here with me in the studio, Mr. Ved Prakash Sharma, who's a co-chairman of the Bar Council of India. But I want to start with you, Paras. Most people, and this is the most commonly heard argument, when same-sex relationships have been decriminalized in India, why the demand to get married? What are your reasons?
You know, the funny thing about this particular debate this time is the fact that a lot of people who are calling themselves activists are saying, listen, we are not homophobic. We are happy you have the rights. We are happy that now you're not considered criminals and citizens, but tum shaadi mat karo. Now, I don't understand that, because when they're talking about the fact that, hey, listen, but you know, a lot of people are saying this is going to be bad for our future generations, there will be no future generation, gay couples will not have children. I don't really understand this mixed messaging, because I ask everyone one fundamental question when you say that, hey, gay people should not get married. Why? Because are you saying that because then basically the very fabric of my being and the fact that I want to date someone, now because the court has said it's decriminalized, I almost feel a lot of people feel obligated to be politically right. The thing is, why do I want to get married? Because as a citizen who's paying my taxes, you know, the whole Indian idea of wanting to be settled is, I want to have a family. I want to have a lover or a partner who's actually my own. You know, no matter what you say, we like the rituals. As someone who's a very proud Hindu boy, the whole idea of creating a family, to have a system where, you know, you actually say that we are a functional unit, I would like the rituals and the pundits and everything in there. I actually think, I know we've been talking about the fact that as LGBTQ activists, as people from the LGBT community, we feel like second-rate citizens. It's actually true, because why am I being denied the same rights? I love the fact that in the court they went out and said, does that mean that any couple which says we don't want to get married, you should not allow them to get married? Because that's pretty much what it is, right? So why the discrimination even after having fought 377? Because this time a lot of mixed messaging that's coming from people who oppose the council and they're saying this should be left to the legislature. I feel there is a lot of homophobia that's being actually hidden this time, which actually is existing and is actually peeking out even when they don't want it to.
Interesting that you bring in the fact that this is an Indian desire to be settled. And Ved Prakash जी, जो बार काउंसिल ने लेटर लिखा है, उन्होंने कहा कि जो इंडियन कॉन्सेप्ट है मैरिज का, उसको चैलेंज डिसइंटीग्रेट किया जा रहा है. The plea is actually the very opposite, that the whole Indian idea of we want to be a family unit, everyone wants to be a family, whether you want to have a heterosexual family or a homosexual family. Mr. Sharma.
No, it's a total misconception, Padmaja. You know, we live in a parliamentary democracy, and in a parliamentary democracy the responsibility of law making has been entrusted to the legislature. So it is the will and wish of the people that is to prevail in the matter of law making. And therefore, as far as Supreme Court is concerned, these people have gone to the Supreme Court. The function of the Supreme Court is to interpret law, not to make law. And this has been, there have been judicial pronouncements so many times that the Supreme Court cannot make law. It is only the Parliament where the representatives from the length and breadth of the country come and sit together, discuss together, only they can make a law. So the will and wish of a handful of people cannot govern the affairs of this country.
Okay, fair enough. So just to be clear, if tomorrow the Parliament was to bring in a law legalizing same-sex marriage, the Bar Council of India would have no problem. Your objection is only to the process, not to the ends.
No, our objection is not only to the process, to the end also. And Padmaja, I tell you, the people of this country, they may be literate, they may be semi-literate, they may be illiterate. Would they be, you please ask them whether they would be willing to marry their boy with a boy, their girl with a girl. Let them put their heart on their heart, hand on their heart and answer this question. How many people in this country are willing to marry their boy with a boy? So we cannot run away from reality. The real fact is that
maybe a lot of people would not be ready. I concede that to you. But that could be more about the fear of the unknown. What you don't know, you naturally are very wary of it, if not scared. So this is not adversarial, by the way. This is a genuine attempt to try and understand, is there a gap in understanding? So let me again ask you this, Sonal. Why is marriage important to you? Paras says it's because it's the traditional family concept we've been brought up with. Now it just so happens that he likes a boy, you like a girl, but you still want it to be a family.
Yeah.
Marriage, can you be a family without being married?
Yeah. Can I?
Please.
This way I can.
Yeah.
So, no, Padmaja, I think like it's important to understand that outside of this social construct and social acceptance of what marriage means, marriage is attached to a set of other rights as well, whether it is adoption. Let me give you a simple example. I have a friend who identifies as a lesbian, who's adopted a child, and her partner and her are raising the child. However, none of the documentation identifies her partner as the wife, right? So that is one problem. The other bit is the whole, like sir is saying, is the family ready? Both sides of the family are very happy for the couple, and both sides are taking very good care of the child as well in raising the child.
They're
the
Indian family.
Indian family.
And they accepted?
Yeah. Full grandparents, everyone.
Okay.
However, because of the way, things are framed, one side of the family, the grand family, will not be accepted legally as grandchildren. So therefore there are issues around inheritance. There are other issues that get attached to it, right? Second thing is that, if something were to happen to the child, right? Only one of them can be a legal guardian. You understand that there are smaller things that then sort of get attached to it. The second bit that sir is, speaking about that, there needs to be, that we should have gone through the parliamentary route. Let me tell you that on 2nd April 2022, MP Supriya Sule did in fact try to introduce a bill to discuss same-sex marriage.
Private members bill, yes.
Yeah, that bill was not even introduced. Sir is saying that it should be openly discussed. But the thing is, if you don't even allow a discussion, you don't even allow an introduction, forget a discussion, how long do you want us to wait? In 2018, the judgment has come where, you decriminalize all of us. You say that we are equal citizens. This should have followed much earlier, and we did go through the parliamentary route. And we have time and again, been faced with this, this rebuttal. Go through the parliament, sensitize the public. Let me tell you, in Supreme Court verdict 2 2018, which decriminalized us, the instruction from the government was to in fact have regular, sensitizations, one with the, public institutions, including judges. To sensitize them to the issues. One of our friends did, in fact do an RTI to find out did that happen. The government has not really taken on to do any kind of sensitizations. The sensitizations has really been led by media or content creators like Paras. So we are doing our job, you don't do your job, and then you tell us wait. How long do I wait? Do you have a deadline on that? Till I'm dead? I want my rights now. Enough is enough,
So, Mr. Sharma, you heard some of the concerns over here. It is about saying that I have already adopted a child Now my child cannot be my legal heir. Tomorrow he or she goes to school. He or she will not have two parents while being brought up by both mothers or both fathers. How is that not detrimental to the idea of family? So I have a family where I have two mothers, but I can't call them that.
Padmaja, as far as adoption of child is concerned, single parent adoption is permitted and it is done.
Yes.
And people are doing with that. But at the same time, that cannot be the, the social fabric of our society cannot be done away with. We are 141 crore people in this country, and the will and wish of just 20 lakhs of them cannot change the course of culture, the tradition of this country. So, as the earlier speaker said that an attempt was made by one of the MPs in the parliament to put a private member bill and she was not allowed to do it. What does it mean? It means that the entire country is against this concept and people don't want it to be done.
These arguments were brought forward at the time of the 377 debates as well. It was decriminalized. Indian culture is hale and hearty. It's thriving as much as it ever was. I don't think that since decriminalization of gay sex that there has been any kind of great upset to Indian culture. Everyone seems to be doing fine.
You say people have been surprisingly accepting, whereas in this resolution passed, Anish, it was said that 99.9% of Indians do not accept same-sex marriage. Has there been any interaction where you were pleasantly surprised to see somebody you weren't expecting at all not have a problem with your life's choices, or in fact be very supportive?
Padmaja, surprisingly 99.9% is an excellent statistic, and I would love for the Bar Council of India to share where they got this number from. Because exactly 4 years ago, to this day, I was in Maharashtra. I was campaigning for the 2019 elections, traveling across the length and breadth of the state as an out gay man, and working with the Maharashtra Congress at the time, but interacting with leaders across party lines. And at the time, I was pleasantly surprised that our politicians, who you would expect to be the most regressive, who our government has now claimed to be the spokespersons of the people of this country, and therefore in a position to decide upon the future of same-sex marriage or marriage equality, were far more supportive of LGBTQ plus rights than you would have presumed. Later we started Pink List India, which is an organization that tracks what our MPs have said on LGBTQ plus issues. And out of our 543 Lok Sabha MPs, 161 have had some sort of opinion on LGBTQ plus issues. And actually 116 have come out favorably. Now, if you see, each of these MPs represents 30 lakh people. And if 116 MPs who are technically the voice of the people, who are the people that the government in its submissions before the Supreme Court and through its various ministers, from the Home Minister to the Law Minister, has argued are the right people to debate and discuss this issue in Parliament, are supportive of LGBTQ plus rights, then why are they not being allowed to put their views forth in Parliament? And why are they not allowed to even discuss this issue in Parliament? It's not that MPs have discussed this issue and come out against marriage equality or have come out against LGBTQ plus rights. It's that they have been prevented from discussing this issue at all.
Interesting you say that. Do you think then that the Supreme Court should give some time for states to present their individual opinions? That's what the centre asked for.
Absolutely not, because I think we just released a statement a week ago showing that for over a decade now, there has been legislative inaction on LGBTQ plus rights in Parliament. I am someone who believes firmly in the primacy of Parliament, that in a parliamentary democracy, it is Parliament that should first debate on issues. But at a time when Parliament is not being allowed to debate these issues, I reject the supremacy of Parliament. Parliament is not the only place where these issues can be discussed.
Totally wrong presentation which is being made. People may be in favor of homosexuality. Now 377 has been done away with. But it does not mean that people want same-sex marriage also. And I tell you, it's not 99.9, it is more than 99.9 people who are against this same-sex marriage. And yesterday, when we passed this resolution, we had a meeting of 28 representatives of all the state bar councils of the country.
So how did you arrive at this
There are 28
statistics?
state bar councils in the country.
28 out of about a population of 1.3
It was
billion.
unanimous by all the Padmaja, they represent the entire country. You know, lawyers are leaders of the society. They are mouthpiece of the society. They are torch bearers of the society.
And they are also
this was not part of the agenda, but due to overwhelming demand of the members, the representative, we passed this resolution.
Sir, to counter that, I would give you the statistic. I would give you the statistic. I would give you the statistic of Anish here, who says that he has personally listed about 120 MPs, which is 1 in every 5 MP, who have been in favor. So similarly, they also are mouthpieces / representative of society. They are elected as opposed to the lawyers who met in your bar council.
No, Padmaja, that is, as I said, they may be in favor of homosexuality, but not same-sex marriage. I can challenge this statistics.
116 MPs who've supported LGBTQ plus rights, but on record, we currently have 12 MPs who have come out openly in support of marriage equality, despite Parliament not discussing this issue. So this is in their personal capacities. They've released statements either themselves or through their parties. And only 7 MPs have openly come out opposing marriage equality. So even if you want to pit numbers against each other, fewer MPs have openly opposed. Please get MPs to oppose
Even one MP can bring a private member bill.
It is also said, what is the tearing hurry? Here's what the Vishwa Hindu Parishad said. We are alarmed at the tearing hurry of the Supreme Court to decide a case, pretty much what is being echoed over here, when there are hundreds of other cases also pending. Is this an elite experiment championed by a select few?
See, there is no tearing hurry at all. See, notices were issued way back in January in the matter. There were affidavits filed by the central government. Pleadings were completed. All the cases pending before different high courts were transferred to the top court. This is not something which was started in, perhaps in April first week, and then, they have culminated and constituted a bench in second week of April and done it. There's absolutely the case. Second, what Mr. Sharma is projecting Bar Council of India to be a representative of the entire country, that is absolutely wrong. Bar Council of India is a regulator of advocates. Advocates constitute a very minuscule population of the country. There are Bar Council of India representatives who come from different state bar councils representing those advocates. Bar Council of India is not supposed to replace the parliament of the country, where they'll say that no, we have assumed this figure of 99.99% sitting in a closed chamber, and you have concluded. Have they conducted a survey? No. This is all in the thin air, out of, somebody just wakes up in the morning, says, oh, 99.99% of the population of the country is against it. How rubbish is this actually?
We are statutory body for regulating the legal profession. We interact with lawyers. There are 23 lakhs lawyers in this country we are regulating.
So, Mr. Sharma, I have a very simple question for you, because as a lawyer, of course, while you're claiming that you guys are connected to the roots of the country and this and that, I want to ask you, forget about the law and forget about everything, because you're claiming these numbers. So, in this discussion, mein pata chal gaya, numbers are easily fabricated. Anyone says anything, forget the numbers. I'm asking you, do you actually have an interaction with anyone you personally know who's part of the LGBTQ community? Do you have a son? Do you have a nephew? Do you have a daughter? Do you have anyone in your family who identifies as gay, sir?
Absolutely not, because this is not order of the society. This is not order of the society.
Okay, when you say
okay, so when you say now, and I tell there are, as far as the stat, no, listen,
that is a different conversation. Your opinion or your opinion on homosexuality is a different.
Please listen to me.
So, Mr. Sharma, you have to understand, if you think that's against the order of the society, वो तो हम 2018 में जीत के बैठ चुके हैं. So let's not go there again. And I have a lot of respect for people like you. So I'm trying to ask you this question like I would ask my father, because you're definitely my father's age. Now my question to you is, earlier in the discussion there was a conversation about the fact that no parents would want to marry their children, a boy to another boy. That's not true. That was a very generalized statement. My father was alive when a boyfriend. That's my thing. A lot of people are trying to get onto these discussions without having any first-hand experience with the LGBT community. My question to you is, when you have no semblance, how are you sitting in a bar council and talking about India is not ready, this is against the fabric of the society? You're, sir, being downright homophobic on national television, where as a lawyer you should be working towards protecting our rights. But shouldn't you also be at a humane perspective where you understand the community that you're so aggressively against, sir? मेरे को जानना है. Why are you not spending time with gay people? Why are you not understanding their problems?
Sonar also has a question for you, Mr. Sharma, before you respond.
Sonar, yes. It's normal.
I also want to know, like, when you are talking about the Bar Council of India, did you ensure representation as well? Is there anybody from that Bar Council of India who doesn't identify as cisgender or who identifies as somebody from the LGBT community? That voice is missing. Second bit I want to talk about, Padmaja, is this whole urban elitist argument. In fact, if you look at the petitioners itself, it will tell you that it's not an urban elitist petitioners at all. You know, two of the petitioners, Padma Shali and Zainab Patel, both of them are from the transgender Hijra communities. They've had to, you know, have to beg. They had to do sex work to earn a living. Secondly, there is also the integrated network for sexual minorities. Okay, this is a network of you know, organizations working on with sexual minorities, about 150 to 200 organizations, and these are spread across India, including in smaller towns and villages. And within our petition, the InfoSem petition, we have actually brought stories from smaller towns, voices from smaller towns.
I would just like to say that, you know, the Constitution is a document of compassion. It grants unto each of the citizens of this country the right to fundamental rights and protections. And marriage is not just a bouquet of rights, it's also a guarantor of protections. What happens to those couples who are not in positions of privilege, whose parents are not accepting, and who want to live together but are being dragged away from their partners by families that are not accepting of their relationship?
So we come back to the original argument, Mr. Sharma, that so just a second, sir, when 377 was struck down, the acceptability increased manifold because the stigma and the criminality was taken away. Maybe we need to turn this argument on its head. If you do have same-sex marriages, the acceptability will increase and not the other way around, for it to become acceptable to all before being legalized. In India, it is, let me go out on a limb and say it's impossible for people to accept at one point.
Padmaja, we have to think and care about the society, not about LGBT society, because
so they are also a part of society. We are all the same society.
No, they are part of the society, but we are governed by the will and wish of the people. We cannot destroy the society.
Which people?
We cannot destroy the lives of our children. What effect it is going to have the children?
Effect it will have on the
Sir,
children.
Paras is also your child.
What
is Sonal? We are also children of this country.
What are they afraid of?
They would be children saying.
Now, as far as
what will happen, sir? क्या होगा? बच्चों को क्या होगा?
377 was. No, 377 was done away with. It was done away with. It does not mean ungli pakad ke pocha nahi pakad sakte. It does not mean that you will go into marriage.
So what was the harm to society after 377 being struck down? Okay, wait. Uday wants to.
My father is okay, my mother is okay, my grandparents are okay. What's your problem?
I think it's somewhat offensive to make this distinction between people and LGBT people, between society and LGBT society. These are not separate. LGBT people are very much part of society. We are very much part of the voice of the people. Our voice is also the voice of the people. The Constitution does not differentiate between LGBT people and non-LGBT people.
Let me ask you this, Uday.
Do not differentiate between LGBT and non-LGBT people. So that this dichotomy is a completely false dichotomy. This is the first thing.
You know, you're bringing up a child. Is there any merit in the argument given by the NCPCR that children who are being brought up by same-sex couples are denied the ideal parentage?
Okay. So let me just answer this very simply. I mean, since we're talking about legislative intent and the role of the legislature, the laws of this land today don't prevent a gay man or a gay woman from adopting a child as a single parent. I.e., the law of this land says that we are perfectly okay with a child being brought up by a gay person. We don't think it has any deleterious impacts. And we are also okay with a child being brought up without a father or a mother. In the sense, a child is being brought up by one woman or one man, and the law of the land is fine with it, and it's happening. By allowing same-sex marriage to happen, you are expanding the rights of the child. The Chief Justice said this himself. He said that by denying the child the right to have two legal parents, you are denying that child the right to legal protection of two parents. You are denying the child the right to inherit from two parents. You are denying that child a whole series of rights by confining his legal relationship to only one person. So actually the legislative intent of our laws already is perfectly okay with gay people having children. So I can't possibly see how the psychological, social, economic welfare of this child is in any way adversely impacted by the child having not one loving parent but two loving parents. So and I think it will be very difficult in law to make that argument. Let me just also add another related point to that. Look, the laws of this country already provide us the route through which people can marry each other outside of the purview of personal law or outside the purview of what tradition dictates is okay or not okay as a marriage, right? The Special Marriage Act exists to allow people to marry outside of that rubric of tradition or religion, etc. When that exists, the question of whether this hurts any particular cultural or religious group sensibilities doesn't arise. I mean, I think it's besides the point that I really don't think, as also a practicing Hindu, that there is any dichotomy between being gay, being a married gay man, and being a Hindu. I think I'm perfectly reconciled with it. But putting aside that point, it's irrelevant. It doesn't matter. I mean, atheists, people who are marrying across caste lines, people who are marrying across religious lines, people who are having any kind of marriage that their family, their society, their immediate community may be against. The Special Marriage Act exists for them and it exists for us. And we are only asking the court to interpret it as such.
And very, very simply, here's the thing. Acceptability doesn't need to be the benchmark for something being legal. It has to be conforming to the law. And that really is the bottom line. Everything else may just boil down to a lack of knowledge, a lack of awareness, and maybe a certain wariness about what you don't know. It could well be a landmark moment in our country. We'll be keeping a close eye on what happens. For the time being, though, for joining us, sharing your stories, sharing your thoughts, thanks very much, all gentlemen, and Sonali Gyani.